Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. His name is Arpan Patel. Mr. Arpan, how are you doing, sir?
Hi, Jamie. I'm doing good. Thank you for asking. How about you?
I'm fine. Thank you very much, Mr. Arpan. Firstly, you are a former software engineer. Can you please, sir, discuss more about yourself and how you're doing currently now, sir?
Definitely. Um, I was in the United States for 15 years, where I was software engineer, and um, um, my last designation was as a engineering manager. In between, I used to watch lots of philosophical videos from different philosophers. Uh, and Hinduism, especially when it's philosophy, I started digging into it, and I decided to come back to India to explore more and find different opportunity other than the corporate job. So right now, I'm doing multiple things like exploring philosophy, doing some gardening to make myself happy, writing some books, trying everything that I wanted to try in my next phase of life.
That's very, very lovely, Mr. Arpan. And that was also diving into the point of book. Have you written any book, Mr. Arpan, or are you trying or planning to write any book in the coming future, Mr. Arpan?
I have self-published 5 books. They all are revolving around the teachings of Upanishads. Um, Two of the three of them are translation of the Upanishad, Vignan Bhairav Tantra, Mandukya Upanishad, and Kena Upanishad. And 2 books. One of them is a common topic of death, and the other book is on common topic, which is ego and how it destroys you or helps you in some specific situation. So they all are published right now on Kindle.
All right, Mr. Apan. Thank you so much, Mr. Apan. Firstly, I would like to dive to the point of Hinduism. There are lots of religions today. We have the Buddhism, we have the Christianity, we have the Islam, a lot of religion today. But when people know the audience listening and they say Hinduism, they will be really, really confused what Hinduism really means. I would like to ask Mr. Arpan, what do you think are the fundamental principles of Hinduism, and how do you think they can also be applied to personal growth, Mr. Arpan?
Definitely. So let's clarify one thing. Hinduism is not a religion. Hinduism is actually profound philosophy. Like all the 4 Vedas, which are pillar of the Hinduism, Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samveda, and Atharvaveda, um, most of them do cover the rituals, hymns, and prayers to gods. But there is a second part of the Veda, which is Vedant. Like it literally means end of the Ved, or you can say summary of the Vedas. We also call it Upanishad, and um, they completely focus on the fundamental principles such as self-inquiry, self-observation, and introspection. So, self inquiry basically forces us to ask fundamental questions about our existence, about ethics and the karma that we do. It forces us to determine what is right versus what is wrong, what is good versus what is bad. And usually we think that good and bad, right and wrong, are personal opinion, and they differ for each individual. But Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the profound texts in Hinduism, helps us defining the notion between good and bad, right and wrong, and what to choose from to lead an ethical life. In addition to that, self observation, which is another foundational principle of Hinduism, derived from Upanishad again, teaches us to observe ourselves without any filter or fear. For example, we might have heard about like control your mind and control your life, like some phrases like controlling your mind, right? But by people, gurus, or spiritual leaders. But Upanishad teaches that you cannot directly control the mind because the fundamental nature of the mind is to think, and it will constantly think. It is like training your heart to stop beating, which is against the nature of heart. And if we do that, we are dead. So what Upanishad teaches is, rather than controlling your mind, you can choose instead how to react to the constant noise produced by the mind in forms of thoughts. This fundamental principle of detaching from temporary state of mind definitely do help, and we can apply that in day-to-day application. And another one more last point. There are many fundamental principles, but one last I would like to go with is the fact of death. Like, we are all going to die at one point in our life. Whatever is alive will be dead, and we are no exception in any kind. So there is entire Upanishad, uh, which is called Katha Upanishad, focuses on the concept as a conversation between a young boy. It's a story. So it's a conversation between a young boy, probably 8 or 9 year old boy, Nachiketa, and Yama. Yama is the god of death. And it teaches through the stories that Hinduism teaches through the stories that you must have courage to inquire deeper and into the question those are full of fear, and that is one of that, right? So it teaches indirectly through the stories that you must gather courage, you must ask those questions to yourself. And once you truly understand and absorb this fundamental principle of Hinduism through Upanishad teaching, priority and focus changes from outer world to the inner world, and that forces you to fix yourself first by doing what you really love to do and focus on what really matters to you, giving you tremendous opportunity to grow not only inward but outward as well. So, to conclude your question, the foundational principle helps you personally grow by focusing on inward rather than outward, by asking very fundamental questions to yourself, and Hinduism provides that way.
Wow, that's a very, very lovely teaching. Thank you so much, Mr. Arpan. And that also dive into the point of lessons. There will also be lessons that could learn from Hindu teachings. We've heard from the principles. We could also learn from some lessons that, a person could learn from the Hindu teaching, Mr. Arpan. I would like to ask Mr. Arpan, what lesson do you think one or we can learn from Hindu teaching about balance and detachment in daily dance, man?
Let me clarify the question. Yes, so you want to see what we can learn from Hindu teaching about balance and detachment in our daily life, right?
Exactly,
Am I
sir.
correct? Okay, so that's really a nice question, because fundamentally there is a misconception about detachment. Like, all the religion, including like Hindu, I will just call it Hindu as a religion for our interaction purpose. All the religion, they constantly talk about detachment, detachment, and detachment, right? But Upanishads go more deeper into that. They teaches you, like, first let's figure out what to not get attached to, what to get detached from. So it's all about getting detached from preconceived notion, right? What we have been taught for generation. It's about not getting detached. It's about getting detached from the material desire. It's about getting detached from false beliefs, right? It's about getting detached from superstition, greed, pain, pleasure, sorrow, everything that can drift you away from self realization, that is to be detached from. Now, with the definition of detachment, what should we let go? That is another part of it, which is what do we consider to be attached with. Now, there is a bigger misconception. You will see that in most of the time in Hinduism as well, people just leave everything behind and go to mountains or in the jungle in search for truth or self-realization, right? You might have heard about that. But Bhagavad Gita, one of the profound texts, beautifully explains that no matter what happens, you must fulfill your duties. It could be as a father, or as a son, or as a husband. Once you take the responsibility, once you have the responsibility, you cannot just go away and plead. Um, so, detachment in that case is something to avoid. And you can be still living with your loved ones without getting attached, and still attached to your duties and get alignment. There is a thin line that you have to balance between detachment and not to get detached. And Hindu scriptures beautifully explain that act and balancing between them.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arpan. And there will also be, these teachings of Hindu, there will also be a way it helps someone to find clarity, purpose in their lives, Mr. Arpan. I would like to ask Mr. Arpan, how do you think the teachings of Hinduism helps individual to find clarity and purpose in their lives, Mr. Arpan?
Mhm. So, about finding clarity and purpose, again, it goes back to the uh, question of self inquiry, self observation, and introspection, the basic fundamentals provided by the Hinduism and Upanishad. Like, you need to really ask very tough questions, such as what do I really want to do in my life? How much time do I have to do what I really want to do? The realization that we are not immortal, right? And realizing that there is no rebirth as a concept. Like Hinduism, there is a misunderstanding. The conceptual misunderstanding is Atma goes from one body to another body, giving you rebirth and probably reincarnation. But that's not true according to the Upanishad. They are very close to science, and when you want to believe in something that is real Hinduism teaching, you need to put it close to science. So when you realize that there is no rebirth and this life is a one-time opportunity, one once one honestly start accepting this fact presented by Upanishad, it brings clarity and urgency, because you know that this is one time opportunity, you have to act in this birth, in this life. And this clarity is about clearing the unnecessary clutter or distraction and wrong belief in your mind. Just like a master room in your house, um, once you start cleaning the junk in the room, you will know what to keep and what to throw away. Upanishad exactly does the same. Hinduism exactly does the same. It gives you idea of what is worth keeping and what is not worth, so throw it away. And when similar clarity um, help you find define purpose, because mental clutter and mental clutter is cleaned. So once you clearly know what is really important for you, achieving that naturally becomes a purpose in your life. So clarity and purpose are interconnected, and that's how Hinduism helps you, like, ask tough question to find what is necessary, what is needed, which eventually will become purpose for your life.
That's very, very insightful. Thank you so much, Mr. Arpan. And I would also love to, dive to the point of community, family, and also even the people who practice this tradition. We know there are a lot of traditions today which are seriously declining due to the rise of technology, due to the rise of the internet today. How or what role do
Mhm.
you think family, community play in, preserving this Indo transition, Mr. Apan?
That's really intriguing question, because
Mm.
it's a controversial question as well, according to me. And I will be very honest answering this
Mm.
question. Honestly speaking, after closely observing the practice in my family and people around me, I firmly believe that family and community is more of an obstacle in practicing and preserving the true Hindu tradition, because they all believe, they believe in a belief system, and believe means you accept what is being said without any question. Now, Upanishad says no to this. Like Upanishad says, experience first and then believe, because belief is blind, right? So in fact, there is no mention of any God in the Upanishad. People still pray God because they don't know the gods are symbolic, meaning they represent something more significant than they pray to. So they pray to gods without knowing the real importance of the God. Uh, there are thousands of gods in Hindu religions, right? You know that, and each represent a very different, unique thing. But until and unless you explore what their they represent, you will have no idea why you are praying them. Uh, so in Upanishad, it's all about singularity. There is no God. It's just one singularity called Brahman. Brahman is the ultimate truth. And unfortunately, the entire society and the community is happy ignoring the fact that's being presented by the Upanishad, and they are happy living in their false beliefs and superstitions, uh, making my and work of people like me more harder than it should be. But it is what it is. So I would say there are few people at high level within a country in India I have seen trying to preserve the true traditions of Hinduism, or true teachings, I would say, of Hinduism. But unfortunately, I haven't found none in my close proximity, or I haven't met someone who truly have read Upanishad and is open to accept the truth, which is very tough to accept to begin with.
Thank you so much, Mr. Arpan. And to also add on that, Mr. Arpan, there was a time you're saying in the beginning, you said Hinduism is not a religion, it's a tradition, which was really, really lovely. And you also said, no matter how we are in this life one day, we are all going to, leave this world one day. And this is the type of belief that we need to try our best to possibly install, because the truth is just going to continue to be the truth. And we just need to continue to try to say it more responsibly. And that is just so tremendous. Thank you so much, Mr. Arpan. And lastly, Mr. Arpan, there is a question I normally ask her. From the ancestors, from the forefathers, there are a lot of things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing would be, Mr. Arpan?
Let me make sure I understand the question correctly. A
All right.
person, would I bring like a person to bring back, or the tradition to bring back?
Anything. It can be anything, sir.
It's either way, it's going to be a long conversation, because um, it's hard, as the time progresses, older beliefs, older tradition, people who were thinking in a certain way 100 years ago, they are not applicable today. So if I bring, for example, right, 10 years, like 20 years ago, we didn't even have smartphones, right? Smartphone was kind
Yes.
of like magic voodoo. Now, mindset of 20 years ago without a smartphone versus mindset of a person that is in today's world, like young kids who has access to smartphone, both think very differently, both demand for different things. So bringing something that existed even 20 years before, it can be a tradition or can be a person in today's world, I think it would be probably injustice, because the tradition, the belief, or the person wouldn't fit into current mold the with the pace that people are going, with the mindset that has changed. It's going to be harder. So for me, it is definitely a tough question to answer, considering what I know based on the situation in today's world.
It's a definitely tough one. Internet, the technology has taken a lot, a lot. Even here in my country, I do know
Mm-hmm.
that technology has really, really diverted a lot of people' attention. Everybody just wants to go on the internet and see what they can do. It's a great thing. It's a great improvement. But it's just
Mm-hmm.
trying to feed a lot of things that we have tried our best to get adapt to during the past times. Sometimes I do try to tell the elderly ones how it does look like during that time. It seems more of a
Mm-hmm.
physical connection. During that time there are more physical connection, more physical communication, but more of it today is more of like the one we are doing today. So it's definitely really, really changing, and we hope for the best in the coming future, Mr. Arpan. I want to
Mm-hmm.
sincerely thank you for this opportunity, for this time, for speaking on Hinduism, which is a tradition. Thank you so much, Mr. Arpan.
Thank you very much, Jimmy.
All right, so have a wonderful day, Mr. Arpan. Bye bye.
Bye bye.